Hello world. In today's video, we're going to be setting up a Gmail API and updating it. And this will be my first live session where I do live coding. And so this won't be a completed project. So you'll see all the headaches I go through as a self-taught beginner programmer. And so if you have gotten here from my previous Gmail API videos, you notice that it's not updating anymore, primarily because of this right here. From google.authorization.transport.request import capital request. And so if you try to run it, I'm sure you have gotten an error. And so we're going to do this live together. And so you can see how I approach projects. So the first thing I'm going to do is open up a new project. I'm using PyCharm. We'll just call it Gmail API update. We're going to make sure we're using the Python 3.8 for our interpreter. I'm going to actually not click this inherit global site packages. And then we'll create. And let's go new window. Okay, that took a little longer than I had hoped. So go file, new, let's do Python file. Let's just call it main. Okay, now let's open up Google. And then type in Gmail API Python developer. That's fine. I want the actual, here we go, Python quick start. All right, so we are in the quick start now. So go to Python, make sure that's in. So do we have 2.6 or greater yet? Okay, so it's telling us to pip install the Google API Python -client. So we can do this using the pip install, but we can also do this using our PyCharm. So go to File, Settings. Okay, and then you go to Editor. You go to your project. You go to Python interpreter. Okay, then we're going to add this right here. So let's just do this and copy that. And there we go. Now let's install this package. Okay, that one was a pretty lengthy package to install. Now let's do this one right here. Let's delete that. All right, let's look for this one. There it is. Let's install that package. Okay, that one was much quicker. And let's do this one. All right, it doesn't let you delete it wholesale. That's okay. Install this package. Okay, that's all installed. Now I did cut certain parts of this, so just know that these libraries take a little longer. Okay, so let's exit out of this. And now it says to configure the sample in your working directory, create a file named quickstart.py, which we're not going to do. Include the following code in your quickstart.py. So we are not going to do that. So let's do this. Let's copy the code sample and let's just paste it in here and see if we get any errors. Okay, it doesn't look like we have anything. And so if I remember this correctly, we're going to run it and it's not going to have any credentials. So then we are going to, it's going to create our own credentials. And let's see. So I'm going to right click and run main. Okay, so it is not finding your credentials. So let's see if we missed a step. Oh, yep, authorization credentials for a desktop application. To learn how to create credentials, click here. Okay, so first you'll need an API key there and the service account. So first you're going to open your Google Cloud Console. Now I've already done this because like I said, I've already created mine, but I'll walk you through it. So this is kind of your cloud right here. If it doesn't take you directly to this, you'll have to register your own account. I've already done it. So when you get to your home page after you're done registering, it should look like this. Then it's telling you to go to APIs and services. Okay, and let's go to Gmail API and see what that looks like. Okay, so you want to enable this API. So for this quick start, you are enabling the Gmail API. That's what I did here. All right, then it says credentials. Okay, and so you can download this right here, right? We have our API keys. And then we have this. So I'm skipping steps. Let's go through create credentials. All right, let's just go back to here, and you'll have to create credentials yourself. But I think I can just, and once you've done that, I think you can just download that, download JSON. So if you're not on this screen, you will have to create credentials and then do the API key, which is this. Then this one, the O authorization client ID, and then you'll get this. Then you can just press download like I did, and you'll have this file right here. Next, go to your project wherever you're storing this. So mine's in PyCharm projects. Well, let's just yeah. So PyCharm projects folder. All right, it's not finding it. Oh, it's all one word, that's why. PyCharm projects. Now we're going to go in Gmail API. I'm going to copy and paste that. Now it's called this right here, client secret, but in the quick start, it says down here, if you look for the credentials, it just says credentials.json. So go ahead and rename this to just credentials. Okay, now let's check it. If you leave it in your downloads, let's say for some reason you want to leave it in downloads, then you just have to pass the full path to that folder. So whatever, downloads. But we're not going to do that. Okay, now let's run this. Okay, so it found me right here. So let's continue. Continue. When you allow this, continue. The authentication flow has completed. You may close this window. Okay, so it looks like it found all my files, right? So what this quick start does is it just shows you that you successfully accessed your Gmail account by showing you all the labels in your what's it called? In your inbox, yeah. In your own personal Gmail. So chat, sent, inbox, important, trash. I imagine that's what everybody looks at. Spam, categories, starred, unread. But here's where I can tell it's mine. Pictures, website stuff, Let me return my face. Barksdale House, Betterment files, notes. So that's how I know my Gmail is mine itself. So that's pretty easy. So that's an update on how to access it. So again, if yours doesn't look like this, go to create credentials. Right? We went to the Gmail API and then we enabled it. So I think if we go to enabled API and services, you can see I have a bunch of these, but we just did this one right here, Gmail API. And as you can see, we did one request. Then you go to credentials and you start it. And again, if you came here from my first video, I go through it step by step. So I just wanted to show you the update to it. Okay, so in the next video, in the previous video, we did everything up to here. And so we didn't show the labels, right? So that wasn't interesting to us. So what we can do is I think we can delete almost all of this. Nope, because it says service right here. So what we want is we just don't want the print labels anymore. Okay, so I'm going to delete this code right here. Okay, so now to check the emails. So now we have this service, results, and labels. We're not going to use the labels anymore, but we can use the service to do a bunch of stuff here. So what we can look for is let's search in the documentation, quick start, create and send an email. I don't want to do that. Manage boxes, search for messages. Let's see what that is. Okay, this just searches that. We don't want that. So what we want to do is just look for search for the how to check our emails. So let's get out of that. Let's get out of that and go Gmail API documentation Python. All right, so it takes us back to the Python quick start. All right, so it looks like the best way to do this, maybe if we go to support, how to get help, questions, advice, go to Stack Overflow. Okay. Gmail API, here we go. So here is the documentation for the calls we need to make. So using my, okay, so here's the instance message. All right, so this is how I do my projects right here. So if we go to my previous project, the first thing we did was service.users.messages. So let's find that. Services. So we're in users right now. Users.messages. I think we did list, right? Yep, .list. .list right here. Okay, so to try this method, right, it has a live method thing. I don't like these, to be honest. But this is how you use it right here if you were going to do a GET request, but we can use the actual API to do this. So let's see if we can, yeah, okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this right here. I'm going to copy and paste this into here. And what we're going to do is use this service right here, right? Service. So we had service, results, and labels. But we're going to take this, we're going to comment out this results right here, comment out this labels, and just use this service call right here. So results now equals, and my cat is saying hello to my YouTube videos. So results equals service dot users dot messages dot list. The user ID is me. Label IDs equals capital inbox, and we saw that when we printed the labels. We're going to look for unread messages, and then we execute that. All right, so we can print the results, or we can wrap this into messages equals results dot get. We're going to pass it the messages, and we're going to put it in a list. So print, and we're going to see if this still works. Messages. Okay, so let's call this now. I'm sorry, let's run this. See if it still works. All right, and it does. So it looks like we have several messages. That's a lot of unread messages. Let me just check real quick if that's correct on my cell phone. And that is correct. I do have 4 unread messages. So we have this one right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. We actually have 5 now, so we can run this again. And let's see if it's updated. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. So that still works. All right, so if not messages, we can print out you have no new messages. So that's one way to do it. So let's do that. If not messages, print you have no messages. And let's put that above this one right here. And then let's put this else. Print messages. All right, and now we can go back and let's do this. So else, let's go beyond messages. Let's go to, let's set up a message count equals 0. Right, so that's how we're going to start off here. And then what we're going to do in here is we're going to go for each message in messages, right? And so the message is going to equal service.users.message.get. The user ID will be me. The ID message equals ID. And then we're going to execute it, right? And so if you're looking in the documentation, that's what we're doing here. So we're doing users.messages.list. So users.messages. Well, now we're doing a .get. So let's go to that, get. And so the first thing you need to do is pass it the user ID, which we did. The user ID equals me. Then we want, what part of the ID do we want? So the ID right here is the ID of the message to retrieve. And what message is that? We just want the ID. And then we do .execute. And then for each message, we're going to do a message count equals message count plus 1. And at the end of that, we're going to print you have, and then plus message count plus space unread messages. Okay, so let's do that. You can only concatenate. All right, like I said, I'm a noob, so let's do that. And let's see what it says. All right, you have 5 unread messages. So what we did was the message count for each message, we went message count plus 1. So we started with 0, and then for each message, we did a count, and then we printed that count up at the end of this for loop. So now we have 5 unread messages. Okay, great. That still works. That part of this code, if you're here from my previous video, still works. So now, if we want to mark them as unread, or would you like to see a portion of the message, we can ask myself that, right? So so would you like to see your messages, right? And so we want the input to be lowercase. All right, and now I'm just gonna copy this whole thing and show you what it does. So it says if the new message choice equals yes or Y, just to make it easier on myself, for message in messages, email data equals MSG. So it is not finding MSG because it is in this block right here. And so there is no variable yet being referenced before assignment. So what we can do to change that is up here, we can type in global message. There we go. And then to make it look good, we just press space there. And so it's still referencing there, but that's okay. So for each message in messages, so just like it is up here, email data. Oh, I'm sorry. Now I know why. We don't need that up here for this program. So for message in messages, email data equals message, and now we want the payload and the headers of this right here. So we just want the payload and the headers. The payload is the body of the email. The headers is the subject, I believe. And then for the values, so just the first part, in email data, name equals values name. If name equals from, right? So if the name equals from, we're going to print out you have a new message from, then the name of the from, right? And then we're going to print out the message snippet. The snippet is where the body of the email is. And I'm going to take that out because that was the first 50 letters. Then we're going to print a space, and then we're going to sleep. And now I'm getting an error from the sleep. So let's go ahead and import the time library. There we go. And now let's see if this works. Okay, I have 5 unread messages still. Would you like to see your messages? Yes. All right, so it is not finding the payload anymore in this email data. Okay. So for message in messages. Ah, I know why. I know why now. For message in messages. So I have to recall this right here. For message in messages. Then we're going to recall that. Because this was used just to get the count. Now we're going to use that same thing to get the extract the data out of it. See, when you're live coding, it's a lot harder to do this. So let's run this again and see if so we have 5 unread messages. Would you like to see your messages? Yes. Okay, now snippet doesn't work, and that's because I changed that as well. So that should be MSG. Right, so we're doing the same thing up here, but instead of just getting the IDs, or I'm sorry, instead of just counting how many, now we're extracting data from it. So now I had to change this snippet right here. Okay, you have 5 unread messages. Would you like to see your messages? Yes. All right, now this just shows a snippet and not the whole entire chat. So here's one. You have a new message from Fidelity Investments. And so that's what we did here when we pulled the from data. So if the name equals from, we're going to assign a variable called from name, values, which we got up here from value. And then we're just going to print, you have a new message from name. So that's what this is. Fidelity Investments, Betterment, this hotel, from Verizon Wireless, and from LinkedIn. And then print. So I put some spaces here just for you, just for the viewer with the console. Okay. And then just the snippet of it. And then dot. The dot's way over there for some reason. And then we sleep for 1 minute so we don't bust the API limit. And we printed a space. That's why there's a space here. And then we didn't get any errors, so that's good. So there we go. Now if you go through my Gmail API playlist, which you can click here, then you now have an updated script to run your own programs. And so basically it was just a change in the way we access the quick start right here. And then this is how you update it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know if live coding, and to be honest, this wasn't totally live coding either because we were copying and pasting it from an old code that I did. So if you're interested in this type of coding, or you want to see me literally start from scratch on programs, leave a comment and tell me that's the kind of content you want. If not, I'll continue just making completed projects so you don't have to see all the errors and all the troubleshooting. So thanks for watching. Goodbye, world.